Next, I want to bring up, before the break, Nathan Cone, the Director of Classical Programming at Texas Public Radio's KPAC 88.3 FM. Since 2001, he's also been curator of the Public Face, PBR's popular summer series. It says to read it like that. I actually read that. I'm sorry.
Public radio requirement.
It is. Popular summer film series, Cinema Tuesdays. His news coverage and criticism of film has been recognized and honored by the Texas Associated Press broadcasters and the Houston Press Club. His favorite movie of all time is Singing in the Rain, which he loves to watch with his wife and 2 children. Please welcome, but do you want the, I know you're going to be timed up here. Do you want the mic on this? Because you're a radio guy.
Please.
All right. Give it up for young Mr. Nathan Cone of Public Radio.
So thank you very much to Vicki and Callie for the invitation to be here. I really appreciate that. When they invited me to come and they said they specifically wanted somebody to come and talk about film and movies, I thought, well, gosh, how am I going to do slides? Because movies are, of course, moving pictures. So we're stretching the format to have clips here. And so what I'm going to present is 20 different film clips. And the idea behind this presentation, I thought, oh, am I going to do a top 20 or something like that? Well, no, I think I'll do one that says kind of a theme. How did they get that shot? Because I'm always fascinated by how they did something in movies, whether it's an artistic choice or a movie trick. And so that's kind of what the theme of this is. And so it's going to be like a really fast-paced audio commentary on your favorite DVD. All right.
So happy birthday, Gene Kelly. Today is the 100th anniversary of his birth. And this sequence is one of the most famous dances ever filmed. Kelly was running a triple-digit fever on this day, and the rain, which was actually a combination of water and milk so that it would show up on film, made his suit shrink. Still, it's one of the greatest sequences of pure joy ever filmed. Metropolis nearly bankrupted the German studio UFA in 1927. Fritz Lang crafted enormous sets for the film, employed hundreds of extras, and generally ran the production like a dictator. In this scene, which nearly got out of control, real fire is used a matter of feet away from the actress, and you can see she really loves it. Another silent film from 1927, Wings, was shot here in San Antonio at Kelly Field, Fort Sam Houston, and Camp Stanley. These amazing aerial dogfights are thrilling. The actors, Buddy Rogers and Richard Arlen, are actually flying the planes. A co-pilot would duck down just before the camera rolls so they could get the shot. Vaudeville gags and magic tricks often made their way into early movies. Now watch the guy holding the briefcase, because Buster Keaton's going to leap through his stomach to get away from the bad guys. The other actor's legs are suspended above a trap door on the other side of the fence. After Keaton jumps through, he brings them down and walks away. Leaping ahead 50 years, a lot of movie magic went into making The Exorcist. Even a simple flickering light bulb is scary. I mean, look there. But for this scene, 4 guys at each bedpost under a cutaway floor are using their arms to lift the bed up and down to give the impression that it was demonically possessed. Now here's a different kind of movie magic, and one that was actually fairly simple to create. In the 1946 French version of Beauty and the Beast, when the father enters the Beast's castle, all these magical things happen, like moving statues and candelabras that light themselves. How do they do that? Well, they blew out the candles and then just ran the film backwards. This trick here was achieved in the very same way that Fred Astaire was able to dance on the ceiling in a royal wedding. You build a set on a large Ferris wheel-like contraption, plant the camera in one place on the window of the truck, and then turn the set upside down. It makes it look like everything is flying around, but Richard Dreyfuss and the truck stay in one place because that's what the camera sees. Charlie Chaplin was quite an acrobat and skater, but even he knew when a stunt was too dangerous. It may look like he's skating close to the edge in this scene, but the whole lower floor on the bottom left side of the screen is actually a painting that is placed right in front of the camera in just the right spot to give the illusion that he could go over any second. Citizen Kane broke a lot of ground, and this whole shot here is a composite of 4 separate film elements right here. They shot an actor on a set in the foreground, a painting of a large crowd in the famous Kane's poster, a small crowd on the stage, and then some guys walking around the aisles. Put those 4 things together in order to create one shot. The last sequence in Fantasia has an enormous sense of depth. I mean, a series of plate glass panes were set up vertically on the studio floor, pulled away as the camera tracks forward through them. This was the last shot on the film. It took days to complete. A mistake led them to have to do it twice. It was completed only hours before the New York premiere and was flown from California to New York. For years, hippies and scholars alike have wondered how they got this shot in 2001. Visual effects supervisor Doug Trumbull used slit-scan photography and animation technique where transparent artwork is moved past the camera a frame at a time, shooting through a small slit. If you keep the shutter open long enough, you get those streaks of light. For this famous chase sequence in The French Connection, director William Friedkin mounted a camera on the bumper of Gene Hackman's car, and to make it look even faster, the camera was under-cranked. So by shooting fewer frames of film per second, when the film is run back, it appears to be moving even faster. Look closely and you'll see quick puffs of smoke from the tailpipes there. Back to Kubrick again in one of the first extensive uses of a Steadicam to follow young Danny around the Overlook Hotel. A camera operator ran behind him with a special camera harness that not only stabilized the camera's movements independent of the camera operator's body, but also allowed it to be very close to ground level. Incidentally, this entire hotel is a set. 15 years before The Shining, an astonishing shot from the film I Am Cuba used a crude version of the Steadicam. In this case, the camera operator is wearing the camera on his vest, and he's lifted higher and higher by a series of pulleys. Amazingly, this shot goes on longer and even higher in elevation than this 20 seconds will allow. One of my favorite documentaries is Wing Migration. It took years for the filmmakers to complete this because to get the amazing close-up shots of birds in flight, they actually flew alongside birds in balloons or ultralight aircraft. And to get the birds used to that, they followed the birds from birth. So it took years of training and trying to get these beautiful images of migrating birds. So here's a few good examples of great lighting now, beginning with Barry Lyndon. The entire film was shot using natural light. Stanley Kubrick bought some old lenses from NASA to be able to capture these candlelit scenes, and the payoff is there on the screen. Nicholas Ray's follow-up to Rebel Without a Cause is about another dysfunctional family. And here James Mason plays a father addicted to cortisone, and the drug makes him feel all-powerful. In this scene, he's lording over his son doing homework. Look at the way Ray uses shadows to emphasize the looming presence of Mason behind the boy. He seems 10 foot tall, literally, like the title of the film, bigger than life. Terrence Malick also used natural light for most of Days of Heaven, which is set in the Texas Panhandle, but was shot in Canada. A lot of the film was shot during what's called a magic hour, which is a bit of a misnomer. Magic hour is the 20 minutes or so after the sun sets, but while there's still soft light in the sky, you get these very beautiful, soft images. Here are 20 of the most famous seconds on film. The whole shower sequence features some 50 cuts, no pun intended, and at least as many camera angles. The blood in the sequence is chocolate sauce, and Janet Leigh used moleskin to cover her private parts. There's only one fleeting glimpse of the knife touching skin. The violence is all created through editing. The last shot I put in here because sometimes you just get lucky on a movie. Fifth Avenue in Manhattan was not closed down for this shot. There was just a lull in traffic, providing a great opportunity for a lone taxi carrying the broken girl to stop in front of Tiffany's, a place that will calm down a case of the mean reds any day. So thank you very much for allowing me to share some of your
Okay, a few quick questions. That is the fastest I've ever heard a Texas Public Radio guy speak. I'm sorry. Okay, are you a radio guy first, or did you get into film, or how did that work?
I got into radio first, and my love of film really started kind of a couple of years after I started working at Texas Public Radio. I just really got into movies, and then one day we came up with the idea. At the time, there was no art house theater in San Antonio. We said, well, why don't we decide to do a film series? It'll be fun. We can fill a void and, maybe raise some money for Texas Public Radio. So by studying and programming the Cinema Tuesday series, I've really, really gotten into movies and have been studying them intensely for the past 12, 13 years now.
Cool. A couple last quick questions. I went to the USC Film School. I actually still get American Cinematography magazine and love to do that better than anything else. So everybody talks about, San Antonio for 15, 20 years. We're going to be a film city. They shot Lolita in a warehouse east of here. They shot what is it, the Something Boys with Matthew McConaughey, Newton Boys, and some others. So, are we going to get any movies that are actually shot here? I know there was something in the paper the other day about another movie, but what would San Antonio have to do?
Gosh, what would it have to do? I mean,
Okay, thanks.
I mean, really, this is something that's going to happen slowly and organically. I mean, you can't force it. I mean, but as filmmakers continue to shoot here and see how beautiful this area is, then I think that they'll realize that San Antonio just really looks great on film. And if I may suggest a movie that I think really showcases San Antonio on film in a great way, there's a film that was shot here a couple of years ago called August Evening by Chris Esca, who's a director out of Gonzales, Texas. And it is the most beautiful I've ever seen this city look on film. So if you ever want to see San Antonio look great on film, see August Evening.
Okay, there you sounded like a Texas Public Radio guy. Okay, one last thing. You didn't really pimp anything. You didn't really promote anything. Where can we hear your work, and when exactly, and what would you like them to do?
Okay. Well, first of all, listen to KPAC 88.3 FM. And be a member of Texas Public Radio. You can find us online at tpr.org, and then Tuesdays during the summer at the Bijou, we show classic films and independent films on the big screen. We're showing The Graduate this Tuesday.
Thank you very much, Nathan Cone. Give him a hand.